You are now tuned into the 2-Minute Warning, a live stream community conversation pertaining to social and political issues and how we can collectively resolve them. Powered by the Westside Gazette.
Hello and welcome to the 2-Minute Warning. I am your host, Perry Busby. The 2-Minute Warning is brought to you by the Westside Gazette newspaper, Broward County's oldest African-American family-owned newspaper. And joining me at the table, at the round table tonight, is my good brothers, Mr. Bobby, Henry, and David Wright. How are you brothers doing? So good to see you.
Oh, yeah, good evening, man. I'm I'm terrific and getting better. And I'm trying to do this thing a little different. So I won't have my head hung down all the time, trying to look up. But other than that, man, we ready.
All right. We're doing outstanding here tonight. Looking forward to tonight's show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I am excited about tonight's show.
Yeah, every day is a living experience, man. And, you know, we can't feel vulnerable in sharing some of our growth, even if it is, you know, if it's about lifting your head up.
Upright.
So yeah, we're learning. We'll get this right. Hell, we might even get an Emmy one day. So thank you to our producers.
Small places.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Perry, I'm feeling that backdrop there, man. Knowing that you out on the West Coast, going coast to coast
in the desert.
In the desert.
Make you want to sing a song. I've been to the desert on a horse with no name. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome. So, yeah, we got a very interesting show coming up, huh?
Interesting, but you know, we started a couple of weeks ago. We started with a sports review, a sports editorial, and that went over so well that we decided to bring it back and make that a part of the show, where we'll be giving you updates directly from the Westside Gazette with our dear editor, sports editor, Mr. Sylvester Nooney Robinson. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and see if we can get him. It looks like they're having a few technical difficulties, but we want to see if we can bring him in.
Yeah, he's on the sideline. He just got bum rushed.
He's on the sideline.
He's on the sideline.
It's Coach Nooney.
Yeah.
The name of his editorial is Nooney on the sideline. And did they bench him, Coach?
Well, he got hit.
He ran off the field and hit him on the sideline.
That reminded me one time we were playing. Dillard was playing against Plantation. And we're on the sideline, and Coach Scott. If y'all know Coach Scott, when they came over, the play came to the sideline and hit Coach Scott and knocked him under the bench. And the people in the stands said, "Whoa!" He got knocked out. Oh Lord!
Yeah, this is retire. Huh?
Yeah. So here we go.
So without any further ado, our dear brother Nooney Robinson. How you doing this evening, Nooney?
Nooney, can you hear us?
Bobby, can you all hear me?
Yeah, quite well.
We're not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Quite well. I'm not sure what you're saying. I can't really hear what you're saying, but I can start if you want me to.
Please.
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm going to go ahead and get started then. Good evening, everyone. This is Nooney Robinson and my brother-in-law, Bobby. All right. My brother-in-law, Bobby, Henry, and I were trying to decide on a title for this segment of the show. It was such an entertaining show last week that we didn't get a chance to discuss it, but we'll come up with the title. But for right now, it's just going to be called the sports minute segment of the 2-minute warning. Hello, David and Terry and everybody in the audience out there. I wanted to speak briefly about just a couple of things that are going on in sports. First of all, it's exciting what's going on in the National Football League in the playoffs. I guess you could call it the Elite Eight in the NFL. There are 8 teams remaining in contention for the Super Bowl. Do you know that 2 of those 8 teams have black head football coaches? And that is exciting because there were only 3 black head football coaches in the league from the beginning of the 2024 season. So that's exciting. So the percentage is much more important than the number, even though we want the number to increase. And Mike Tomlin, also from Pittsburgh, would have been a part of that had they not been defeated by the Bills. So that's exciting. In the football playoffs, we have Kansas City and Buffalo. And we're hoping that actually the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Buffalo Bills, because that would almost ensure 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. And then you're talking about Houston and Baltimore with Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, and this outstanding young man named T.J. Stroud for the Houston Texans. So that's going to be an exciting game also. In the NFC, you have the San Francisco 49ers against the, who are they playing? They're playing, let's see, I forgot right now. I'll come back to it, but the Tampa Bay.
Are they playing Detroit?
Playing Detroit. And the 49ers are going to have a tough time in that game that they're playing. But I guess the most important thing that I wanted, who is that, Perry?
Tampa Bay.
Who are they playing?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. But in the Tampa Bay game, we have Todd Bowles. Okay, he's black coach, and they were at one point after his head. And also we have from Houston, D'Amico Ryans, who played for Nick Saban at Alabama. So we have some exciting NFC games, and black coaches and quarterbacks will have a permanent role in those games. Now I want to talk about the FAMU football search. It's really kind of been a morass of, I'm not sure, just missteps. But
what was that FCAT word you used?
Tiffany Dawn Sykes, in a sense, conducted a search for a head football coach in isolation. And in doing so, she kind of got ruffled the feathers of many FAMU alumni, especially Alumni Association. Not only did she do it in isolation, but she also recommended somebody who had no affiliation with FAMU. Ironically, this young man, Sean Gibbs, is an outstanding coach and a very intelligent young man who is a head coach of Fort Valley State University. And he is re-up with Fort Valley after the backlash. So that was, so they're beginning to do a different and new search, probably an ad hoc committee of different entities from FAMU, which is something that she probably should have done in the beginning. So right now, FAM doesn't have a new football coach, and in a sense, this is putting them behind the 8 ball because of the portal and the NIL. So a lot of kids now have the flexibility to leave at their discretion. So hopefully they'll name a football coach soon and get it done right, because I know FAMU is very important to a lot of people in the state of Florida. And then I wanted to talk about our Dolphins briefly, if you don't mind. And when I wrote in my article about the Dolphins, they just were not quite good enough. They talked about how the defense had so many injuries, and they did. They had 6 starters out, and it was difficult for them to compete in Kansas City against a really good football team. But it really wasn't the defense that hurt us. Our offense, our ballyhooed offense, did not perform to expectations. And so we've got a lot of work to do, but we still are Doll fans, and we're going to continue to support them. But this year and this, they just weren't quite good enough. And finally, we're talking about icon coaches who retired. 2 of them actually not of their own volition. Nick Saban retired because of the NIL because he didn't want to go through that, because his record is superb and he could have coached as long as he wanted to, but I don't think he wanted to deal with the all of the ramifications of the NIL and the portal. But Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll really wanted to continue to coach, but they were kind of forced out in a way. The only good thing about the New England situation is that they named Gerard Mayhew as the coach. And so we're hoping that he has some success other than when they play the Dolphins. I'll try to do better next time, my brothers and audience. I got a little nervous tonight. I had some notes, but they weren't available, so it's really off the cuff. But I want to continue this session and help the 2-minute warning to grow in popularity, not only in terms of the subject matter, but in terms of watchers, of viewers. So thank you so much, Bobby and Perry and David, for the opportunity, and we will see you all next week then, I suppose.
Yeah. And Noonie, I do want to say, Noonie, I know talking about the Dolphins was painful.
So that's it for me.
Yeah, and you have my condolences being a Cowboys fan. I'm glad you didn't touch on that subject. So
how you?
So we will talk to you later.
Yeah, why you want to bring in some stuff like that, Perry? Okay.
Well, painful it is.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, to a serious matter, right?
Yes, to a serious.
Yeah. So before we introduce our next guest, we have a video queued up, and if we could watch that, this will give us a segue into what we're going to be talking about tonight. So.
The civil rights movement, and any social change movement for that matter, aren't just successful because of singular heroic figures. They're successful because of the everyday work and courage of ordinary people. And among the people who most effectively help make social change possible is young people, students, just like many of you. So today, we'll be talking about 3 different groups of students who helped advance the cause of justice, equality, and civil rights, whose bravery, intelligence, and commitment is something that all of us can learn from.
Okay, very good. Now, excuse me, I want to introduce our guest. We have an opportunity to really touch history this evening with a gentleman who was a part of one of the greatest student movements that this country has ever seen, from the sit-ins in North Carolina to the murders in Mississippi. This gentleman is a prolific journalist. In his own right, he was a hell of an actor. So this is none other than Mr. Al Calloway, a true member of the Student Nonviolent Coalition. So, Mr. Calloway, good evening. Mr. Calloway, are you there? Okay, let's you guys talk for a minute.
Al, can you hear us, Al?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like his audio makes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It looks like he maybe froze. Okay.
Well,
yeah, we'll continue to work on that. Yeah,
he's still muted as well. So, but one thing I did want to say about Al and his involvement with SNCC, which he'll be able to come on a little later and share in more detail. The video touched on some very specific points, and those are some things that I think is really important, that a lot of these movements, even though we may have had one historic figure involved with the movement, it really depended on a lot of young people getting engaged and getting involved. Educated young people, for the most part, who was passionate about the rights and equality of others, played a very important role. Mm-hmm. And Perry, we had a similar conversation about some of us as protesting, even at our young age.
Right. Yeah. No, I think, again, as Mr. Okay, is he back? Mr. Calloway, can you hear us? Okay.
It's intermittent. Some words I hear and others I don't hear. The sports analysis could have been very interesting to me, but I didn't hear. I saw his lips moving, but the voice came on and then it left and then it came on again. And the documentary, I saw the beginning of it, but I didn't see the detail. But I understand it. You want me to go on or what?
Yeah. Keep going now. Tell us something about you. Just fill us in.
Well, it was about Brother Moses, and he was a very, very, very important architect of the Mississippi movement in 1964. I was a student graduating from Clark, what is now Clark Atlanta University. Then it was Clark College, and in addition to one head of mine into journalism, the other head of mine was in my love for theater, and Bob understood that, and he wanted me to go to Mississippi to work with him to develop that project. But I had learned everything about offset printing and all the production aspects of putting a paper together, in addition to the writing aspect. And I wanted to go back to Harlem and develop some workshops for young people, and that's what I did. I developed about 4 different mass communication workshops over a decade in Harlem. So a lot of people, including Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was one of my students. And some of my students went on and got PhDs in mass communication and so forth. And they are successful all over the world in journalism, in film, and so forth. So that's the story.
Mr. Calloway. Yeah.
But
Mr.
Bob
Calloway,
Moses.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, Bob Moses was so instrumental in the SNCC movement, and a very intelligent, gifted man, and America is blessed to have had him and his works over the period of his life. Very committed man.
And we have some information on the screen now that basically shares a little bit of his
You guys want me to say more about the movement?
Well, yes, Al.
Because I see that's the subject of civil rights movement.
Yes, Mr. Calloway, we're going to have you share more, but we're going to bring on our next guest and then allow you to get into a conversation with that as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, our next guest is really no stranger to the 2-minute warning. He's been a host and he's filled in for us. So glad to see him again. Really doesn't need any introduction, and he can introduce himself. But everyone around Broward knows Mr. Positivity Pays, and he is a social entrepreneur, young man who I just really admire the work that he's done with our youth and throughout our community. Mr. Ramon Robinson.
Thanks for having me. How you brothers doing?
You know, we're well.
Doing good.
Glad to see you, man. Glad to see you.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah, you coming in with the suit and tie on, man?
No, I'm actually. Yeah, no, I'm just getting home.
I hear you. Well, good.
Yeah.
Glad you could spend some time with us.
Of course. Yeah, no, it's an honor. You know, anytime you guys have me on the show, so I'm very grateful.
Yeah, we wanted to, and unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties with Mr. Calloway. But Mr. Calloway is from that era that you so vividly write about and produce images from to alert us to our history. So we wanted to come from his era to your era. And I know from a personal standpoint that you have a family member who was involved with the Black Panthers.
Yeah.
So, you know, so you have some firsthand knowledge on the struggle, and which our title is so has so stated, the civil rights struggle, and
How we fit it.
yeah, how do we fit in the fight? So let me ask you that question, Raymond.
How do we fit in the fight?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I completely understand that. And so who's the we? And is the fight what we're talking about currently, or just in general when it comes to civil rights?
You asked two very important questions. The fight is the struggle for us to maintain who we are, and we are the we in the fight. Now we had basically a similar discussion last night about the topic. So, so your questions are very valid. So if you could from that standpoint, we being the we, and the fight is the struggle we're dealing with now.
So the we is the brothers who and sisters who see that there is a struggle.
Okay.
Basically is what you're referring to, because and I'm learning as I continue to read and do my research, just learning that there are some who can't see what's going on, right? And I can't take that to heart. You know, there is a struggle for the hearts and minds of people in general. And I see it a lot where we have our histories being changed. There's a lot of whitewashing, and there's a fight for the minds of the youth. And they do these things purposely, whether it's voting or whether it's just, you know, convincing them, our young people, on how to shop. But there's a serious struggle that we're in, and we've been in it, and it started way before the 60s and the 70s, and we've been fighting for what's right for a long time. I think, you know, when you look back at the civil rights era and the fighting that they were doing, it wasn't just for Black people. Everybody benefited from that. You know, you had the ending of Asian quotas, right? You had the Disabilities Act coming out of that. You had so much. I mean, women couldn't have bank accounts until 1978, credit cards, right? So many people benefited from the civil rights movement, and that's usually not discussed. We talk about Dr. Martin Luther King, which is very important, but that also leaves out so many other people who fought so that we could all have rights, and it wasn't just one particular group of people that could have rights in this country. So when anytime I think about that, I mean, the fight includes everybody, although everybody might not see it that way. I did a story on Martin Luther King moving his family to the slums in Chicago to bring attention to what people were going through in Chicago. But it wasn't just Black people. There were people from all over that were living in the slums in Chicago. And bringing that attention to those people, that's how we got the Housing Act of 1968, is through that. That's something, having affordable housing, first-time home buyers programs, things of that nature that Black, white, everybody benefits from. We were there fighting for that so that we could all benefit, but we're not all given credit. And you're not going to be given credit if you don't speak about these things, if you don't bring some of these things to light. But again, it's for the hearts and minds, and so a lot of that is being silenced or whitewashed so that, you know, the youth don't understand what's actually at stake here.
Okay. Thank you for that very broad dialogue on the struggle, which is all inclusive.
Right.
You know, the civil rights struggle was about, like you said, was about all of us.
Right.
So, so that's that. Mr. Calloway, can you hear us? Okay.
He's gonna respond. It's just gonna. It's a delayed.
Intermittently, it comes of the discussion. Yes.
It'll take a minute.
Okay.
I can't tell whether you heard me or not.
Okay. So yes.
I said I can hear intermittently. The dialogue goes in and out, but I do have a sense of the discussion. Okay. Let me add, the gentleman was talking about the Panther Party all together. SNCC, all of us. SNCC, you see, SNCC was a committee. The idea in SNCC in America, everybody in SNCC was in it. Okay, some of us was Deacons for Defense. Some of us was in North Carolina with the brother there. You know, with the called Negroes with Guns. We were all over the place. Okay, the idea for the Panther Party came out of us at Clark College because we were the Clark College Roaring Panthers. So when I broached the idea to Stokely Carmichael, okay, who I started training with when he was 15, 16 years old in Harlem, okay, was that the idea of a third party movement, that we will use this idea of the Panther Party as a third party movement because a panther is something that you don't see. A panther goes after its food or its enemies, and you'll never know it until you're caught. Okay, that's a panther. What happened on the West Coast is that they went for TV, you know, uniforms and all of that, you know, and it didn't mix well with the very exciting and beautiful pro did all over this country. The training programs, the schools, and etc., you know, the free lunch and all of that. The Panther Party said to the movement, as was the Back to Africa and everything else.
Okay. Let me say this. Let me say this. The technical problems that we're having is not doing justice to this program. So, Mr. Calloway, we're gonna have you. We got to have you back in the studio so we can engage in this conversation, because it's not doing any justice, and I refuse to let all of this history get distorted. So, Mr. Calloway, we're gonna ask you to come back, and we're gonna do a live show with you from the studios, not from where you are, because the reception is not good at all, and it's not doing this topic any justice, and we need to hear this. So we're gonna ask you to come back, Mr. Calloway.
No problem. We do this. It's very important. You guys have developed a very important issue, and this is the issue. This is the issue we really got to talk about, because as the gentleman said, as Brother Ramon said, it's bigger than what people think about. You know. I mean, when Martin Luther King and this Reverend Al Sampson lived with them. Mm-hmm. He went on to become the pastor of Grace Methodist Church for 32 years on the south side of it with brother Minister Farrakhan, who was a very good friend of ours. You see, we were everywhere. We were with the Muslims. We were back to Africa. We were with the Panthers. We were with the NAACP. We were with the SCLC. We were with everything. Okay?
Okay.
That was SNCC. SNCC was a committee. Everybody was in everything. I spent my first year in school in Tennessee, 1960. I met everybody at the beginning of SNCC on weekends and stuff, and they had the Committee on Appeal for Human Rights, okay? You know, with Julian Bond and others, all right? And that morphed into SNCC, you see? And that's how the headquarters for SNCC became on Raymond Street in Atlanta.
Well, we definitely going to have to do a in-studio broadcast with you, Mr. Calloway.
Yeah.
Because this information is too vital.
Which incidentally,
told you.
So
the
we're
SNCC headquarters, incidentally, the SNCC headquarters, incidentally,
Okay. We just lost Mr. Calloway, so we got to have him back. Okay. So.
But Brother Ramon Robinson, we're going to go ahead and continue this show with you in lieu of what just happened with the transmission. But we do have some footage and some videos of some of your work, and would like for you to kind of just expand on what you've been doing and kind of give us a interlude on some of the things we're going to see.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, okay. You guys are gonna play the videos and then
well,
we'll just
kind of give us a backdrop of what you've been doing, some of your creations, and then we'll share.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So one of the things that we wanted to do with Positivity Pays, you guys are very well aware of my business partner Brandon Freeney and I. One of the things we do is we try to educate. We focus our nonprofit on education, and that's literacy, whether it's financial literacy or media literacy, and just putting information out there. One of the things we realized is that with a lot of the movement of AI, Black images were being left out. Black stories were being left out. And the problem with AI is when you're not training it or teaching it what to actually do, it will not do that in the way in which you need it to, right? And so if we want to tell these stories in the future, we won't have enough Black images to actually utilize to tell some of our stories. So we wanted to begin telling those stories, utilizing some of those images, but also utilizing the software. So to give an example, ChatGPT is one of the most popular AI generators when it comes to information. There are several stories that this AI had absolutely no idea about. And so we would ask it questions and it could not generate an answer when it comes to reparations, for instance. A lot of people don't know that reparations were paid out, but it was only paid out to white enslavers, right? And so AI would come back and say, well, that never happened. And then we would have to literally program it and put the information into the system saying, this is when they received reparations. This is how many thousands of people demanded reparations for what they call lost products, right? And so that's a really big issue if we don't begin telling our story and we don't begin putting this information into basically online or into AI. And so we're creating stories with AI, both training the AI and also using the stories to teach our children.
Brother Robinson, are you saying that needs to be in a digital format in order for ChatGPT or any of these AI programs to?
Well, ChatGPT is pulling information from online, right? And so if the information's not out there, it has nowhere to pull it from. right? And so we have to be updating our stories. I have to be putting this information online. One of the things we did with the trading cards, we're getting back to that because we have to do more of that online so that AI can recognize our stories. It can recognize our faces, right? And it can put images to who we are as a people. And a lot of that information is actually missing. It's not missing because the system is racist. It's missing because we have not trained the system to recognize our history, and we have not put enough of our history out in order to train the software.
Okay. Hey, Ramon, I want you to hold that thought, because that's another show that we were talking about. That's another show. Right. So what I like to do is to have one of your videos brought up, and then let's see if we can tie this into the struggle, because it's all about the history. You know, if we don't know our history, we don't know who we are or what we're dealing with. So if we can, from our technical producer, if you can pull up that first video.
In the darkness of adversity, one person stood as a guiding star. Today, we're diving into the life of an extraordinary historical figure. Can you guess who she is? She risked it all to lead thousands to freedom. She was a fearless freedom fighter, known for her daring missions. When the nation was torn apart, she served as a nurse and a spy. During the Civil War, she made history as the first woman to lead an armed military raid in June 8.
See, I believe and that if we forget about those who participated, if we, Ramon, I'm gonna say us, if we forget about those who participated in the struggle, we will never ever come out of the struggle, if you will. And so I don't know, I'm kind of torn between not being able to hear.
Well, it said you had to tap the screen to get the audio, so I got the audio towards the last bit. I realized that I had to tap on it in order to get the audio out of it. But on TikTok, it's just under Absolute, which is spelled ABSOLOOT, and you'll see all of the history videos on there. Obviously, you can see all of those videos and even get the article, which is more information, through the West Side Gazette. It's on the op-ed section, and you can see Black history on there, and just by going to the West Side Gazette. So you're getting more, if you go to the West Side Gazette, information than you would in such a short clip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Don't let me leave.
So I know we have other footage, but Ramon, what really inspired you to take this path to go into?
It's the brother on the screen, Mr. Busby. You know, I'm watching his expressions because I'm like, is he proud of what we're doing yet? He's the only person we ever met in this space, right? And so it's like, I know it's okay if he smiles, so I'm looking to see if he's smiling or not, because it's like he really began educating us on this and the importance of this, because it's a space we weren't in, and it's really problematic that there are not more Black creators in that space, and so this is just like us trying to introduce others to the space, especially the youth, and getting them more involved in that as well. Just like, you know, conversations with Mr. Busby, that's what it really did for us, because it's like, you know, we started doing some research, and it's like, wow, we're really not in this space at all, have no education when it comes to anything that's happening, and are actually getting left behind. And it's almost like we're in the Stone Ages when you know, I have people coming to us and they're like, you know, we're looking to write a book and we want to publish a book with you. And it's like, man, people are putting like full movies online with stories with AI. And it's like, you know, we got to start to catch up. And so Mr. Busby is the inspiration for this actual work with AI and actually delving into this space and educating ourselves.
I see him smiling, and we do have some comments, but we also want to do another video. But there's this one comment from Sophie, God is Love Wright, and if we can put that up, she speaks about that goes hand in hand with the whitewashing and banning books concerns that we are facing. And as some of the brothers say, since young people ain't reading as much anyway, I guess what better place to go to the West Side Gazette, YouTube, and TikTok to find some of this
right? You know, that's
history.
That's unfortunate. You know, that's one thing that I stopped saying because a lot of that young people don't read. I'm sure they were saying that when you were young too. You know, why are we still repeating that? I know a lot of young people that read. My daughter reads. We work with a lot of kids that read. We have kids that are authors and publish best-selling books. So there are kids that don't read, but there are kids that don't read of all races, and I don't want to put that on Black people. There are a lot of our youth that read and are very educated. And again, we publish books with several children that have become bestsellers, and these are Black children. So, you know, I just think we have to be very careful speaking, because we speak things into existence. We're very powerful when it comes to that. And it could be something negative or something positive. But you know what? We weren't in AI. We weren't doing anything. And Perry spoke that into existence.
Yeah, the fact that when folks say that certain people don't read, it to me it's what you're presenting them to read. You know, if it does not, you know, if it's I'm telling you, I will stand on this and say this until the day I'm dead. If it's not pertaining to me understanding who I am and where I came from and the possibilities where I can get to, you know. Then you're right. I probably won't pay attention to it. I probably won't read past the preface. You know, so that part. But when it involves or it pricks my emotions and my attention, then I'm apt to go into it and to get as far as I can into it. And again, it's all intertwined into the struggle you spoke about. You know, it's not just about the physical confrontation, you know, it's a mental and a spiritual thing as well, and it involves all of us. So yeah, I'm with you. I want to see another one of your videos.
Another video, and just definitely keeping it positive. So if we can go ahead and queue up another video, and future shows, we're gonna have to get some of those young people on the show
again.
Those writers, those
most definitely
on the show and share their work.
She's sharing her grandchildren read too. Like they said that about me as a child is I didn't like to read. And I did not like to read, but as Mr. Henry said, it's what I was being given. I couldn't relate to it, didn't understand it, don't care for it. I spend all day reading now because it's things I'm interested in.
Absolutely. You see Jip run. That's way before your time. See Jip run. Who the hell is a Jip? But anyway, yeah.
In the 19th century, as the fight against slavery raged on in the United States, one name stood out: Cassius Marcellus Clay. Cassius Marcellus Clay was a fearless abolitionist, a Kentucky planter, a politician, and a man who knew that injustice must be challenged head on. He used his platform to publish The True American, an anti-slavery newspaper, through which he passionately advocated for the end of slavery. Clay was a force to be reckoned with, a man who gave impassioned speeches and led protests against the institution of slavery. Clay once said, "I have freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they had known they were slaves." His close friendship with
Now, I know a lot of our viewers immediately thought when they saw Marcellus Cassius Clay, they thought it was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
That's our most viewed video because of that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go. No, you go.
So Cassius Clay was actually an abolitionist, and he was the man who helped to free Muhammad Ali's grandfather. And so Muhammad Ali's grandfather named his son Cassius Clay, and then Muhammad Ali's father, that's why they named him Cassius Clay Jr. So that's why that was his name originally before he changed it.
Mm-hmm. Something I was about to say. That was a very powerful piece. And this is to encourage our viewers. This is to put a spotlight on the great work that our dear brother is doing. Again, you can go to the Westside Gazette, and again, it's in that the Black History profile. You can see a lot of this footage. Perry, you just sitting back smiling like a proud dad.
Thank you, Perry. That's what I'm going for. Thank you for that.
Man, I can't do anything but smile. If I had said something at the beginning, I would have gotten choked up because I am just blown away.
Thank you.
At what Ramon and Brandon have done. And if I could say anything, I guess I look at it with envy because they're doing what I would like to do. And
don't look at it.
No. I'm saying I look at it with envy and just, I mean, with not that jealous envy, but that oh wow, it is better than what I thought it could be. Mm-hmm. And rather than be and we're gonna be real tonight, rather than be like them old niggas that used to hold me back, mm-hmm. I want to be like the gentlemen and the leaders that helped build me, because I was talking stuff that they didn't understand. Mm-hmm. But they believed enough in me to put that. And so what Ramon and Brandon do, I'm just trying to feed a little bit into it, but I am just blown away at just, their ability to bring it together. And it's so much, and believe me, I know when he says it's so much more, because once you start, I mean, it is that whole conversation about how do we get our kids really to prepare, not for a future, but for a world that's here right now.
Right.
That they're just not just sucked up into just consuming it. That they can play a part in creating those stories. And, and we do. And let's be real. They used to say you want to hide something from people, put it in a book. Well, okay, that might be true, but now they're making books digital. So I take that to say, just put it in a way that people can consume it. We're trying to get to the same place. It doesn't have to be my way. And so to see that, it's like, wow. Because there's so much more in that space to do with our kids.
Right.
And so in this, and for me, in this time where we spend, we were talking about it last night, guys. We spend so much time. Well, this is what they do in the Black history. This is what, can we spend some time to think, well, what can we do now that we here? That's where the creativity comes. That's where all of what we're looking for is happening. I know Obama said it in the cliche form, but we are who we are. We are who we're looking for. So what can we do? And so, I was glad, and I do. I curse the devil for being in the technology and not having Mr. Calloway here. Because he got in the middle of this, and these are important times. And so, Ramon, I hope we can find some better ways to put this and find some other stories, because this is not just something our kids need. This is something we need, because I learned something tonight.
Right. This whole night and its success and its noise, it still means something. It's still the part of the struggle that we engage in, the fight that we're in, the fight to understand. And Perry, as you alluded to in your expressions of how you felt not to be able to bring forth what you had in you for folk to appreciate it. That is a struggle too, you know, and we have to understand this. It's not just about where we are. It's not just about that. And Mr. Calloway was the impetus of where we were and what we were coming through and how we got through to it, you know. And he got emotional there for a moment when he started talking about. And I wish we could. I wish that we could hear exactly what he was saying. You know, and Ramon, at one time you made a presentation to the church about our heroes. We don't have to go out and look for them. They're right here. That's a hero right there.
It is.
You know,
and so are you, brothers. These shows are going to be something that we have moving forward that our kids can look back and watch. And so this is very powerful of giving people a platform, right? That's one of the most powerful things you can do is just give people a platform, which is why we're not allowed on a lot of the stages, is because they don't want to give us a platform. So when
you take over,
right?
You take over.
But when you create a platform like this where we can say what we think and what we feel and what we're seeing, this becomes one of the most powerful tools we have.
I see one of our friends from Bowie, Maryland, T.P. Bunker joining in. I know y'all cold up there, Tammy and Mike. So y'all get together and keep each other warm. Thank you for your support. Yeah. But
and Perry, you know, that gentle nudge, that push, that just dropping a little science on Ramon and Brandon to kind of get them motivated. That's what's needed in our community. You know, if we just reflect back to those that took time out and shared some information with us that got us motivated, that got us reading, that got us engaged, and something we have to continue to pour in, encourage, and prod those to really seek their inner talents. And then, as we see here, it's unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, there's no flame without the spark. You know, it took Perry pouring into us. You know, he's just as responsible as we are, because if he didn't say it, we wouldn't do it, right? And so it's one of these things where we're all accountable, whether it's good or bad. You know, it just so happens we all decided to do something good, and then we needed Mr. Henry to give us a platform too, right? And so it was literally all of our minds working together, whether we realized it or not, and making this happen and making this possible. Now it's gotten to the point where, I mean, within a couple of months, we did like 500,000 views on TikTok and 100,000 on YouTube, right? And so these are short videos we're doing. I mean, yeah, I come home, I spend a couple of hours doing the videos, but I'll spend most of the day reading and doing some research. That way I can make sure everything that's in the video is factual, but that it's posted in the right way and to the right audience as well, you know? But it's something we're all responsible for, and I appreciate you, brothers, for helping us make it happen.
And Perry, what I was trying to say to you is don't beat yourself up, you know, because an old man can learn tricks. So I'm
saying you look at it and you be like,
no.
Damn,
I know, but I'm learning. Raymond is teaching me how to do something, and I did something. I posted a short. Yeah, I posted a short. You know, so you know, you see, you give, you get, it comes back. You know, and that's what I was telling you. Don't beat yourself up and feel that way.
Oh no, not at all. I was just like, oh man, this is great. I you know. And believe me, I was saying that to him, and I didn't pay Ramon to say that. You are, but I mean, it is it. I have, you know, for me, I mean, you know, if this was just all about me, you know, I want to see this continue in some way. How do I kind of build some other, not Paris, but just put it in you?
Oh, I mean, no, not no Paris.
You know, but we got to have STEM in so many different flavors in our community, because it's the opportunities are so plentiful.
Right.
And we get, you know, and it is they need black bodies to pretty much sell anything technology wise, because technology sells more.
All right, man, you scaring me now.
No, I'm just saying,
Radio Raheem with the radio.
Tech has to be cool.
Come on, man.
Any tech that has gone mainstream has been cool, and who has made it cool? And when they didn't use black bodies, they used black music.
Wait, hold up. Was that a Freudian slip?
Yeah, they used black Buddhists too.
Okay, was that a Freudian slip? No, but no.
You know, but yes, they've used it, and rather than continue to say, "Wow, they keep using us," can we use ourselves for something else? I mean, we don't have to do that. There is an alternative, and that's why I say I can't preach this to older guys. I have to hear young guys interpret it, because they're saying, you know, they're doing some great things, but we're not in those spaces. And so how do you find leadership? And we all know that if that right voice isn't there, we know it's enough wrong voices to fill this space. And so,
Ramon,
you know.
Ramon, you said something earlier that is important in journalism. It's important in any production or telling our story. You read a lot. You do your research, and you make sure that information is factual.
Correct. Yep. There's a few stories we have not put out just because we haven't been able to confirm all the information we have. You know, I think that's one of the most important things, is understanding the information you're putting out. You have a responsibility to not misinform people if you're in a position and you have a platform, you know. And so we try to make sure everything we put out, we have sources behind it, and that we've confirmed it, you know, 2 or 3 times.
Okay,
that's awesome. A lot of good questions coming in from our viewers. Do you have a program for you that could be brought to our local libraries?
So I'm on a path of like a fact-finding path and some information-finding path. I've given myself a little bit of time. So the work I'm doing right now, so I'm in the content moderation space, to where I'm seeing a lot of the content that's being put out online. I can't get into details of what I actually do, but I'm looking to get more into cybersecurity. Again, this is based off some conversations that we've actually had with Mr. Busby. And so him educating us on some of these things, and then us obviously doing our own research, seeing there are not many people in this space, and then seeing how far behind we are technology-wise. Before I think we get into that space, it'll be at least another year or so. So that way we could do it the right way. We have the right information and the right support behind it. I know we always have support of those in the community, obviously the Westside Gazette. And so we just want to make sure that we're bringing information the right way into the community and not kind of rushing something, but it is something we are working on. And we've been working very hard to inform ourselves and learn about a lot of these programs so that we can do something and we can really benefit as a community from the work.
Right.
And protect the product.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we done lost land, so we can't lose digital space, right? I mean,
oh wow.
You know, a lot of people don't even look at it like that, but yeah, digital space, online space. I mean, it's a lot of it is up for grabs.
Yeah.
And even what's out there, we don't want to have it corrupted either.
You are definitely right. You know, and a lot of, it's so unfortunate we hear about, like, somebody was having a conversation about the Oscars the other day, the Grammys. And I was just like, you know, I got to be honest, I don't care about none of them personally. But I think we need our own platforms. They create a platform, and they create a platform specifically to sell products and to put out certain messages. We have to be able to understand that's what those platforms are used for. And if we want to create in a positive way, we have to create the platforms that promote those positive messages. And then we also have to support those platforms at the same time. But talking about what other people are doing is literally a waste of time at the end of the day. We got to be actually getting to work and creating these platforms for ourselves. We created Dripping Culture that literally follows along with the Westside Gazette, and all it's doing is focusing on the entertainment aspect of the community, making sure that we're helping create the platform. We are supporting those that are actually out there doing the work.
Yeah. No, I mean, we have some major issues in terms of our history and catching up that I think is, and I know when Makiba Foster, who was over the African American Library, she invited me to a discussion. I mean, and there are some areas where we really need to discuss, since we know that books are not online and we don't have that digital presence. And we know that many of these artifacts, because of aging, are becoming relics. And so we only have so much time in which to preserve and archive. But that brings about some other issues, because you can't just say, well, let's just save it. Well, who owns the space?
Right.
Who has it? And so how do we really begin to own these precious artifacts that are ours? And that's a big discussion. And I think that that's something that not old people need to handle. That's something that we need to discuss and pass along with young generations like this, because you're right, it's going to get lost.
All right, we're going to put a pin in that. We're going to put a pin in that. Don't start that conversation. And we'll be here for another hour. So don't start that conversation.
We are near the top of the hour.
Yeah.
So
that's a needed.
Time flies when you're dropping knowledge. Time flies when you're talking truth. It's been a powerful show. We're looking to bring our dear brother Al Calloway back. I think in twofold. I think we need to do an interview with him and have that on record, as well as bring him back in the studio so that he can share his passion for the work that he's done. And Brother Al, I know you backstage, but man, we can't wait to get you back in here. In closing, Brother Ramon Robinson, anything you want to share with our viewing audience, or just kind of give us your final thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. One, I would love to create a trading card on Brother Al. Even Makiba Foster. I think this is one way of working with the youth, and not focusing solely on sports, but actually showing some of the stats of the people that are around us and what they're doing, so we can see how great they're actually being in the moment. So we want to create those trading cards. We did a series before with the Westside Gazette, which was a very exclusive set of trading cards, but this is something we want to keep doing. We'll do the digital trading cards. We're already in that space. We can get the NFTs on them. We're already in that space. All of these things that we are looking to do. And I appreciate you, brothers, just for the mentorship and the education you've given me through the years. Actually, all of you have grabbed me and told me something I need to be focused on, or something I need to be doing. And so I just hope you guys see the fruit of what you guys, the seeds that you have planted in me, so we can continue to move forward as a people. And so I'm here to do whatever I can to help those. That's what our nonprofit is about. Positivity Pays. We want to keep moving forward, but we know we need you, brothers, to teach us some of the things that we don't know. So we're using our elders to the best of our ability, so that way our youth are not lost.
And Ramon, I don't know if you're still doing the t-shirts, but man, these folk out here love it when I wear that James Brown t-shirt.
we took a short break from that. We're actually ramping back up with the shirts and the trading cards because we've received almost 1,000 messages of people asking us about them. And you get so consumed with some of the things that we're doing, especially with AI. I mean, Brandon and I spent the last 4 or 5 months nonstop on AI and just understanding it, educating each other, and just seeing what tools we have out there. And so that we put some of that on the back burner, but we are getting back to that this year. We're going to be back on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a gross and sell them down here in Arizona. They love it.
Yeah. What'd be great is if we get somebody from the community and we all support that one person that we can right now. I think that would be one of the best things that we can do. I don't know if we do Mr. Henry, we do Mr. Wright, we do Mr. Busby, we do, Pastor Davidson, we do McKeever Foster, but I think we need to all get on the same page and show love to each other individually, making sure we're giving each other our flowers and also letting the rest of the world know that we're definitely supporting each other. You won't be able to say brothers don't support each other with us.
Okay. All right, here we go. I'm so disappointed in how technology failed us tonight.
Yeah.
There's so much we need to learn about SNCC and how it emerged from the sit-ins and started the movement. The Greensboro sit-in, North Carolina, the civil rights movement, the founding of SNCC, the Freedom Summer, and how it shifted from non-violence to violence. And I think when Mr. Calloway hit that point, that's when he became emotional. So I just want to say to all of our viewers and listeners, and if you get a chance to study some of Ramon's AI videos, do it. Read about some of the things he talked about in the pages of the Westside Gazette or on our website. Engage yourselves in Black media. You might really find out just who you really are. So take the time and do that. And I also got to throw in a plug for the NNPA. The NNPA, which is the National Newspaper Publishers Association, of 250 Black newspapers, news media, Black-owned companies from around the country will be here next week, starting from the 24th to the 27th. And we decided to come to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in general, to make a statement. We ain't scared of nobody. And ain't nobody gonna turn us around. Ain't nobody gonna whitewash our history. Not as long as we got Black-owned media and young people who are willing to invest in AI, STEM, and anything else that's necessary for our history to be recorded correctly. And in the words of Rosa Parks, you must never be fearful about what you are doing when it is right. And when it is wrong, that's something totally different. But when it's right, stand up and be counted. Thank you all. I love you. Enjoyed the show, but I hated the fact that technology failed us to some degree. Good night. God bless.